go into the lesson.
All right. Well, everybody had a chance to say what they wanted to say. All right. And this is a Bethel Sabbath Day Shabbat church. Right now we're in the beginning of the Shabbat, Friday night, 7 p.m. and come back at 11:30 tomorrow, y'all will. But right now we're gonna start the Shabbat, and we already said praises to Yah, thanked him, and get into the lesson. So what the lesson is gonna be over is the origins of homosexuality. So we'll talk about that, and we'll go into the deep meaning and where it all comes from, all the way back to Babylon. So that's where you know it just about started. So all right, I pray the lesson go out in sincerity, truth, and be edifying for the body. All right. First, we're gonna do a lot of back story on where stuff comes from, and then we're gonna go into the word after that, and and how the Israelites and the heathens, Gentiles or whatnot, they were engaging in these behaviors, and we can get a better understanding of where this stuff originated from and how it came to be and how dangerous it is, the demonic presence behind it. But so I want to do go to don't tell me I did one Queen of I hope this I didn't say that. Let me pull it up on Wiki. That's the one I didn't say. Queen of Heaven Wiki. Pull it up on the internet. Queen of Heaven Wiki is, or is it? Yeah, so I guess I forgot to move on when I moved the files. But all praise, still pulled it up. All right. Yeah, Satan is alive, boy. You got that right. That's right. I always do something. But all this goes back to when we go into the lesson. We're gonna see that all this stuff goes back to mother goddess worship. This homosexual who backs the homosexual, who gets man to be seduced by the spirit and to promote this act of homosexuality, and it's really deep and perverted what Satan is doing here to the man especially. I'm not gonna go too much into the females on this aspect, maybe another time. But back in those days, the women were the female priestesses in the Babylonian time. So they would seduce men to come into the temple to worship Mother Goddess. So that's for another lesson. But I'm more so on the where the origins of homosexuality. So keep it on that. But this is from Wikipedia. Just touching it just a little bit about the Queen of Heaven on this topic, and where it comes from, and how many names this entity, which really goes back just to Satan, how many names it goes under. There's so many names that Satan goes under. It's Satan got like 1,000 names. It's ridiculous. That's how Satan can trick people into idol worshiping Satan. So I'll read some of this. The Queen of Heaven was a title given to a number of ancient sky goddesses worshipped throughout ancient Mesopotamia, Mediterranean, and Near East during ancient times. Goddesses known to have been referred by the title include in Anna, Anat, Isis, Astarte, and possibly Asherah. All the names are on Wikipedia, Queen of Heaven. So y'all want to get to see the names and whatnot. By the prophet, and possibly Ashira by the prophet Jeremiah. In Greco-Roman, and this goes, we'll touch on that later on, that about in Greco-Roman, especially when the Israelites were in Rome, that's where Yahusha got crucified. We're going to see what they were worshiping there too. They was worshiping the Queen of Heaven too. In Greco-Roman, goddesses known to have been, in Greco-Roman times, Hera, and her Roman aspect, Juno. There's even a movie out there called Juno. I don't know if y'all ever heard of that movie, Juno. Yeah, it's like a teenage movie. So, Satan be playing, because we don't know what we're looking at, Satan be playing, bore this title. Forms and content of worship vary. In modern times, the title Queen of Heaven is still used by contemporary pagans to refer to the great goddess, while Catholics, Orthodox, and some Anglican Christians now apply the ancient title to Mary. A lot of people, Mary is not who we think it is. They have taken Yahusha's mother and flipped it and placed her, metaphorically speaking, into mother goddess worship, which the scriptures vehemently speak against that. But the Mary that a lot of these doctrines, these schools of thoughts are worshiping, is not the literal Mother Mary. It's literally the goddess, the Queen of Heaven, coming as Mary and being worshipped. So a little sneak thing, of the mother of Yahusha. So, and we're going to touch on some more things on this. So he's going to do a little background on the mother goddess and get some background on it. And so do a little bit of reading on that. And the next one, you got to remember, all these mother goddesses are the same being. In different times, they're called different names. And I'm going to read this one. Indeed, Sibyl, as Cybele, crown appeared to be the turnited wall of a fortress, which only amplifies her role as a mighty defender. It is extremely apparent, and all this is going to flow into the homosexuality when it all comes together. You're going to see. Apparent as well that she preferred to spend her time in company of lions or other wild animals rather than embrace a child in her arms. These differences only help to make it extremely clear that Cybele was an independent and individual goddess. And another thing out of this, they, in this society at this present time, they promote women being independent. The independent woman, that's the mother goddess spirit working all over again. Because back in the temple days, when they was really worshiping the mother goddess outright, the women were known to be independent. In Rome, that was the sign, that was one of the pretense before they fell. All of the women start to become independent. They start to demand divorces and all that other stuff. So it's a spirit that just get recycled over and over with Satan. Was an independent individual goddess, and those are only a few of the many reasons why Cybele has been considered to be one of the most unique goddesses to ever be worshipped in Rome. And again, remember when I was reading all those names in that other wiki page, it's different names, same entity. In very general terms, Cybele is just another name. I know I'm saying that wrong. I forgot how to. It's Cybele, something. But y'all can get the proper name online. It's just another name out of a variety of different names for the fertility goddess whose cult spread widely throughout and then encompassed the entire Mediterranean region. Sometime later, her worshipper traveled even further, reaching as far away as the Crimea, South Russia, Egypt, and the British Isles. This particular Mediterranean fertility goddess was always the primary figure in her cult, and every year her consort, a handsome young vegetation god, and I was reading this, I was like, man, that's the spirit, because that go back to the veganism lesson, and it just go, and this is why Yah told me to do that lesson, because Satan is doing this veganism stuff, and it goes back even to Cain. That spirit was on Cain. They want to give Yah, oh, we can do better than Yah. We're going to do everything from a vegan perspective, a vegetation thing, and that's the spirit of Satan manifesting all over again. You really think about that. So at this particular time, and this particular name goddess, which is the same one, just recycled, they would do a vegetation sacrifice. Died in the fall, only to be resurrected when spring once again arrived. In Asia Minor, Greece, and Italy, this goddess was known as Cybele, or the Magna Mater, the Great Mother, and her consort was known as Etis. And when we learn about Etis a little bit more, we're going to see how deep this homosexuality stuff gets. It's very deep. So I'm going to talk about him in a little bit too. Babylon and Syria knew her as Ashtaroth and Ishtar, which is in the Bible. That those two particular people, it's the same mother goddess, different names, whose consort name was Tammuz, and a lot of people don't know the December 25th celebration. That's really the birth of Tammuz. When you go into Babylonian worship, that has nothing to do with Yahusha. Tammuz was born on December 25th. As a side note, and while she was in the aspect of in Anna, Inaana, her consort was known as Dumuzi in a later period. Her name, and you see the tone here, is always a superior woman and having a lower male next to her. And you know, and that's why a lot of times they promote the Mother Mary and the Christ figure, because they always want that male child to stay in a childlike state. It's never Mary next to a fully grown Yahusha, because it's the same goddess. It's the adult, powerful goddess with the weaker child. She's in control. It's always like that. That's why I find it odd when I research that. I never seen a fully grown Yahusha really next to a Mary, because that's not the Mary and Yahusha of the Bible. That's the mother goddess being worshipped. Okay, and where was I? In a later period, her name was changed to reflect the deities of the time. So each generation is a new name. It don't matter. And the Greeks worshipped her as Aphrodite. 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 And that dyke, it's starting to get, and we're going to learn about that dyke stuff. That dyke stuff got something to do with this too. And the Romans as Venus, while her resurrected lover was known as Adonis. You scroll down, because these are, to understand the Bible in the full context, this is stuff that you need to know. So when you read the Bible, you'll be like, wow, I get it. I get why Yah was like, leave that alone. It really doesn't matter which name was used, because every god and goddesses mentioned above was for all practical purposes interchangeable. Attis, Tammuz, Dumuzi, and Ananias, her consorts, the males that served the mother goddess, were simply different names for the dying and resurrecting consort of the mother goddess. Whether she was known as Celeb, the Magna Mater, Ishtar, Ashtaroth, Inaya, Aphrodite, or Venus. And let me slide on down. The name Gili is supposedly derived from the word Gillis, which means cock, and they actually did use the symbol of a male phallus to represent themselves. And they still talk about that's another byword for a male member still to this day. It's not readily. That's more so in the 50s, 60s. That was a slang word for a male member. All of it goes back to a mother goddess worshiping of Satan. Um, and they actually did use the symbol of a male penis to represent themselves. Once castrated, this is where you start getting into the other part of it. Once castrated, those priests became eunuchs. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom.
So we're talking about we're talking about yeah, we talking about the origins of homosexuality and how it started. Okay, where was I? And once castrated, those priests became eunuchs who performed fellatio and self-mutilation during a variety of climatic ceremonies which they used in their worship of Sebel. A young man would frequently attend these ceremonies. So this is how high the mother goddess worship was in these days. It was the place to be. It was the thing to do. You wanted to be amongst this being, so to speak. Um, Young men would frequently attend these ceremonies, hoping to find a way which would allow them to spend the rest of their lives in the service of the goddess. And that when I was reading that, that led me to a scripture in Apocrypha in second in Ezra. It says men who went out of their wits for women, and this is the same thing. Not they're going so out of their way for the mother goddess that they're castrating themselves. You know what I'm saying? It's in the Bible too. But I'm giving y'all the background of it. Young men would frequently attend these ceremonies, hoping to find a way which would allow them to spend the rest of their lives in the service of the goddess. Many of those young men became so caught up by the intensity of the worship that they actually jumped into the middle of the procession, grabbed the sacred swords, and then castrated themselves as a way of imitating Attis, which we're going to learn about in a little bit. The Gili were also known to dress, and these are the royal priests of the mother goddess. The Gili were also known to dress in women's clothing and behave like women in an attempt to emasculate the feminine nature of Sibyl. Sibyl. I'm saying it wrong. Sibyl. Sibyl. That's what it is. Sibyl. She's a mother. She's one of the names of the mother goddess. You weren't here a few minutes ago, but the mother goddess go by several different names.
Okay.
Yeah, just different ages. When the cult of Sibyl was in its early stages, only priestesses were allowed to perform the sacred rites. That practice changed dramatically when Crete was overthrown, and the Cretans, and I know y'all a little older than me, so that was a word that you're a little Cretan. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That go back to mother goddess worship. The little Cretan, the Cretans, and the Cretans priests of Zeus. The Cretids migrated to Phrygia, where they joined with the Corbanites and became Gili. Legend tells us that the Corbanites were the half-human sons of Kronos. It was their wild dancing and the loud noises that resulted from the banging of the shields. They was talking about they was trying to stop Zeus from hearing a child from being died. So I'll skip down that one and get to the last part of this. The priests, like the Gili before them, became complete eunuchs. They grew their hair long, dressed in women's clothing, and perfumed themselves with fragrant oils. Perfumed themselves with fragrant oils in a manner that was quite similar to Dionysus, who had been raised as a girl rather than as a boy, becoming. So what's that? That's that hermaphrodite spirit, that transgender spirit.
Homosexual.
Yeah, but it's that transgender spirit too. Like, man, I just don't want to be a man and do homosexual. I want to, and that's what we're seeing right now in this time because it's the mother goddess spirit all over again.
Right, that guy.
Bruce Jenner.
Bruce Rock, no, not Bruce.
Yeah, Bruce
not,
Jenner. The Olympian.
RuPaul.
Oh yeah, RuPaul. He was doing that in the '90s. He came out and then, but he didn't castrate himself. Bruce Jenner, he cut his penis off and got a fake effeminate quote unquote parts. I mean
He ain't cut it off. He just split it up so it can be, and then it looked like a.
they cut off most of it and then did that thing. But yeah, he's completely a mother goddess worship. That's that spirit. And I continue. Dynamic as a boy becoming total or complete eunuchs required the intimate to go through more than just a simple castration. They actually had to take their transformation into women one step further by having their entire penis removed. The uh, applications of their penis left an opening where the root of that organ had once been, and they used that opening during sex in the same manner as they would as a woman's vagina. That particular metamorphosis, which changed men into women, which we're seeing right now in this daytime. And they all, even children. Oh, I'm not a male. I'm a woman. I need sex change. You see the spirit presently right now.
Will Smith's son, Jimmy, wanted to do it.
Yeah, I know. I know. He said he has a boyfriend the other day. He was talking to somebody.
Yeah, but I wonder if he meant boyfriend in that situation, as that same situation.
Yeah.
As he's saying he's gay because he got a woman.
Yeah. Well, it's confusion. It's all about confusion. Yeah. It's just the mother goddess doing her thing.
Kevin Hart didn't want his son, so he was saying stuff about it back in the day. So now they don't want him to do the Oscar thing.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Until they apologize to the LBG or whatever ABC stores and the LGBT club or something.
And we see how powerful the mother goddess worshippers are, because they'll stop your career. You better apologize to them, even though the homosexual community is only 1% of the population. If you disrespect them openly and you famous, you will be castrated in the media. You will apologize. You will say you support this, or your career is over. And that's what Hollywood is. It's sodomites, homosexuals, lesbians. That's just Satan's playground. Yeah, and that's what it is. And it goes back to the mother goddess worship, where all this stuff comes from. And I continue in the same, that particular, in order for a priest to truly seem like a woman. See how the mother goddess is just transforming the males, not the women. The women aren't, adorning themselves. If you do your research on the priestesses, they weren't doing that same transformation. They weren't putting on fake male members or nothing. They were still women, but the males had to transform into the mother goddess to worship the mother goddess. In order for a priest to truly seem like a woman who had actually, and that's what they say, get in tune with your feminine side, get in tune with your feminine side, come on, get in tune with your feminine side, and especially if you are subjected to domestic violence, since they have these courses that are manipulative. I was doing that research on that some time ago, that they brainwash the males to be a part of your feminine side, get a part of in tune with your feminine side, and it's just so. And Satan wants that, hit a woman, get domestic use charge. You have to go through this course, this reprogramming, in order to stay out of jail, to effeminize the males who had actually been born a woman. Then he also had to cause his body to periodically bleed. I mean, this is demonic. Men don't have cycles. You're up in there cutting yourself. Mutilating yourself.
Well, he was cutting himself. inside his
Yeah,
fake gender, and then
somewhere in there,
saying he was on his menstrual cycle.
on his menses.
Mm.
Because the mother goddess, wants to turn the males completely homosexual. And, and this stuff is deep and it's coming back right now. As a way of imitating menstruation, the priests achieved this periodic bleeding by cutting acts of self-mutilation. You see how deep this stuff is. And okay, I just want to give y'all the background on this before I go on into the scriptures, because once we get into the scriptures, we're gonna go. Now this is the Atonitis guy, and that I was reading about a few minutes ago, and this is the reform that the mother goddess always had a male consort. She was the superior, and she had a simp. Y'all know what a simp is? Like a feminine male, or Ahab and Jezebel situation. The woman was in charge, and she just had the male there.
Yeah.
This for a very cowardly male, a frail male, and that's why Satan promotes these single motherhood homes and the father outside the home, because these women are in Satan's kingdom, and Satan is programming a lot of women, and they're rearing up very effeminate males, and you can see this generation how the males are very effeminate.
Yeah, but I'll be wondering when I see them little boys like that, if they'll grow out of it. Sometimes they can.
They can.
Because they don't want to hear that stuff. But it takes so long for them.
And then you gotta understand why they might not want to go down these roads. They're being ruled over by this system that I don't want to do. No, you gotta do this. No, you gotta do this. No, you gotta do this. So it's very difficult once they take masculinity out of the picture. It's just a female with the rulership role as just effeminizing these boys, and you see a lot of homosexuals in the society, especially in Atlanta. Attis was the consort of Cybele in Phrygian in Greek mythology. His priests were eunuchs and gilli, as explained by Origen's myths pertaining to Attis and castration. There are several versions of Attis, and though he was obviously associated with the late coming Adonias of Palestine, there were some slight differences. Attis was methodologically born of a hermaphrodite creature. So this being was born from a hermaphrodite. This stuff gets very, this roller coaster of homosexuality. Boy, once you get on this road and studying it, this thing's all over the place. You got males castrating themselves and faking mysteries monthly. I mean, this is a roller coaster you don't want to get on. Ananias, Attis was, I read that. Naya, a virgin who conceived by a ripe pomegranate, some say an almond, which had grown from the cervix and a testicle of a man monster. And we understand that about the Nephilim and all that stuff, the man monsters and all that. Augustus, and some say that Augustus was both male and female, and impregnated himself, and that Augustus was Attis' mother. It's like the all-in-one. I don't need a man, I don't need a woman. I'm all-in-one, self-regenerating. And Satan's big on that self-regenerating type spirit. The pomegranate, of course, is associated with Dionysus, as it was from his blood that the plant sprung, making him older than Corey, who ate 9 pomegranate seeds while being held by Hades in the underworld. Well, they take everything. They take everything. Apollo was a god of restraint, sexual moderation, and homosexuality or bisexuality. It was that famous movie, Rocky. They named the black guy Apollo. There's a lot of things that come with that name.
Yeah.
A lot of things. Pan, the goat deity that with the float. I don't know if y'all familiar with that.
Yeah.
He be seducing. That's where high heels come from. I might touch on that another time. They call them nymphs. That's why you're a nymphomaniac. You a Pan worshiper, and you would wear high heels to act like how goats' feet ride up. So high heels, a lot of people don't know that it has demonic origins. High heels. Pan was a god of wine, open sexuality, and enjoyment, as were the women of Phrygia and Laden, a nation which sprung up after the Trojan War. By the time of Herodotus, the creatures of Greece in Lydia were indistinguishable, except that the Lydian women all prostituted themselves to earn dowries, and the Lydian man judged their potential wives not by how much money they had earned, but how many different men with whom they had sex with. This is this society right now. They love whores. In Hollywood, oh, I slept with 10 men, I slept with 20 men, I slept with 100 men, and you'll see them married next year.
Wilt Chamberlain was the first one because he for so many points on that basketball court. He got one game, he had 100. So that's how many women he's been with.
Yeah, that's nasty, nasty, man. He probably a incubus. But on the women part, because it's y'all disdain women having multiple sexual partners, but under the mother goddess reign, it was uplifting because they drew the power. Remember talking about the incubus and succubus, how even they suck the power, especially succubus, they suck the male power, and that's how the priestesses became more powerful in the temples of worshiping the mother goddess. They would, it's basically energy transfer. The more sexual perverted she become, the more powerful she became. She started to become the beast, like we was talking about last week. Eating what you eat of, that's what you become. But by how many different men with whom they had sex with, which is just present today. All this stuff is happening right now. They love whores. Originally, only priestesses officiated before Sebel. However, when Crete was overthrown, the Cretan priests of Zeus and Corets migrated to Phrygia. There they joined the Corbinites and became the Gili, the priesthood, or priests of the Great Mother. The Corbinites were the half man, half sons of Chorus, and we read that a second ago, who danced wildly and banged their shields and weapons together to prevent Chorus from hearing the cries of the infant Zeus, whom Chorus would have killed. The priests, like the Gili before them, were complete eunuchs. They had long hair, perfumed with fragrances and ointments, and wore women's garb, as did Dionysus. These complete eunuchs were not just castrated as most eunuchs, but also had their entire penis removed, leaving the opening which was used as a vagina for sex. The Gili were introduced at the same time as the cult of Attis, that male. He's basically the principal character for the effeminate male who was the consort to the mother goddess, came into existence. The Gila of Sumer and later Akkad and Babylon may well be the priests from which the later Aryans derived the name Gal and Gul, who settled in France and Germany. The cult of Attis can only be mentioning as it relates to the great goddess worship and Apollo, as Attis never existed independent of the great goddess. So it was all, meaning that it was the great goddess was there. It was never just the Attis was by itself. It was always with the great god, this goddess, mother goddess. And I think one more. This is the last one on that. The following is a excerpt from the introduction and conclusion of Article 3. So it's about the mother guys. I'll skip this.
Can you make that bigger, sir?
Yes, I can. A little too big. Let me skip this. Satan messages. I'll just skip that. That's real too. All right. In the
Competition between Christians
and this goes to how the early Christians were after Yahusha was sacrificed and whatnot, and how they went on to preach the gospel and they came had interaction with these strange customs. How they interacted with one another, and we're gonna talk about that later on in the scriptures too. In the competition between Christian and pagans in the ancient world, neither side hesitated to broadcast the most outrageous and shocking accusations against the opponents in the most inflammatory rhetoric it could muster. In their very temples wrote Firmiscus Maturus in the mid 4th century can be seen deplorable mockery before a mourning crowd, man taking the part of women, revealing with boastful ostentations this ignominy of impure and unchaste bodies. So the people who were having this homosexual, I'm a woman type spirit, they were going in front of everybody and telling them how unchaste and unclean they were. They broadcasted their crimes and confessed with superlative delight that stain of their polluted bodies. Profanarama something. These infamous men with their impure, unchaste, polluted bodies were none other than the Gili. We were reading about these are the priests of the mother goddess, priests of the gods Sebel and Attis, which is he was basically the Attis, the consort of the mother goddess, whose ministry religion constituted one of the early Christianity major rivals. Time and again, Christian apologists cited the Gili as representative of all they abhorred in pagan culture and religions. So right out the bat, this was one of the fights right off the bat that the apostles and everybody else, they were fighting this homosexuality spirit. And of all the outages of the Gili, none horrified them more than the radical manner in which they trespass the boundaries of gender. What they're doing right now, trespassing the boundaries of gender. A boy can be a girl and a girl can be a boy. When I grew up, it was tomboy. I don't know what it was when,
same thing, tomboy.
You strong. I think they call you strong or you butch.
Butch. Yeah. But there ain't too many boys take nothing from the world back then.
Let's get this messed up too.
They'll whip on them like they'll whip on boys.
I know more. Well, they'll do it now with more than feminine spirit. They got some homosexuals out here. I seen some. They beat the women like it was two girls fighting. It would be easy to dismiss the numerous references of the Gili in the ancient literature of both Christians and pagans as eclecticisms equivalent to today's fascism with gender transition as evidenced by such There's the Butterfly. I don't know what the Crying Game. I know it's a homosexual movie. Unlike the modern figure of the transvestite, however, the guilty were part of an official Roman state religion. When I was reading this, because they're turning homosexuality and the transgender stuff into a religion.
Yeah, but that's what the Romans did. And
Yeah.
That's why you hear so much talk about them doing them little boys, because that's what they were doing. And they ain't want no women, they'd rather have the little boys.
And it's to worship the mother goddess to get, because before you came, we was talking about how Mary is worshipped as the mother goddess with the Catholics. You know, they not even worshiping Christ or anything, or not even fake Jesus. They worshiping Mary. Oh, Mother Mary, we come to you in prayer. You know, that's madness. So we'll get this. The Romans, this was a state religion with the homosexuals and the transvestites in Rome, which is, we're in modern day Rome right now. The same thing going on. Religion with manifestations in every part of the Greco-Roman world and at every level of society. One finds the Roman elites worshiping Cybele, the mother goddess, with bloody animal sacrifices officiated by state-appointed archgalli. See, this is deep, because this is what's coming. You know, what's the Antichrist coming to do? They're gonna have state religion. They're gonna be sacrificing in the new temple. All this stuff coming back bigger and better. Common freedmen and plebeians forming fraternal associations such as DENDROPHORI and Campori to perform various roles in her annual festival, the annual worship of the mother goddess, and the poor and slaves swept up by the freezing of her riots out often to the consortion and alarm of their social superiors. So they were caught up, you know, nonsense, you know what I'm saying? But I just want to give y'all a little background on that to better suit y'all to what's you know, we're gonna go into about that. So we're gonna go. So I did all that in 5 and I'm gonna look this up too. You know what I'm saying? Just to set the tone for y'all. Probably make this a two-parter. You know, not kick y'all too long with this. Just want to look up this word before we go into the lesson. You know, more to the scripture. Freak. You know, the Satan.
The elephant man.
Well, you know, that's just an example of a freak. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
And cause Satan likes to turn everything bad into good. You know what I'm saying? What was it called good evil, and what was it called bad good? And freak, you know, like with Rick James, you're a super freak, man. She freaky, man. These words, oh man, she bad, man. Woo, she bad. Like I'll tell you this for a second. I remember I was in elementary, I think 3rd grade or something like that. And I heard some people talking about, man, this SH is good. I was like, man, that don't make sense. Why would you say that? You know what I'm saying? Why would you say? Because I'm understanding what this is. Yeah, it's feces. Why would you compare something that you're eating to defecation? And I was like, that don't make sense. I guess it was the spirit always with me. You know what I'm saying? Even back in the day when I was little, because you know, even to this day, man, you want some of this? No, I don't want none of that. Like, let's just go back with the devil's food cake or something. Like, you want some of this devil's food cake? No. You want some of this? No, I don't want none of that You know, like that. You know what you? But Satan likes to turn the wicked into good, or bad things into good. And let me read this freak before we go, because Satan is turning these people into freaks. A very unusual or unexpected event or situation, a person, animal, or plant with an unusual physical abnormality, like cutting off of your penis, or putting a fake penis. You're becoming a freak. You know what I'm saying? Just like
one thing. You don't have to read it that small. You can make it bigger.
Well, you know, it's just time consuming to change it, so I just
okay.
do it real quick. But I just wanted to point this word out, freak, because this is gonna be a freak show lesson, full of freak. We already reading about people, males cutting their penises off, not only doing that, they going to the extra step of having a fake menses, cutting. Having because they were commanded by the mother goddess in the temple. You have to bleed like the woman. You have to have a complete conversion. All your masculinity needs to go. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they got fake breasts now. You know what I'm saying? And everything. Hormone treatment. They give them to teenagers hormone treatment and all that. Now what's next on this? 6. Bruce, y'all already know about Bruce Jenner, so I am going to go to that. And the transgender movement, y'all should be well aware of that. And I'll skip that because they do this in India too. Now we go to some scriptures about this. And this doctrine is big in India too about saying loving yourself, whatever you are, and the gods just made you. If you want to be a homosexual or a lesbian or a transgender, we're just energy, and you can be whatever you want. The gods of the temple, because they still worship the gods in the temple out in India, and that's where a lot of this Kama Sutra comes from. A lot of people who want to research sex, they get caught up in Kama Sutra, and that Satan take you for a ride with that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So it gets very deep in this stuff. That Satan got everything mapped out and to trick everybody into doing this wickedness. All right, now we're gonna go to Deuteronomy chapter 23 and 1. Probably just turn this into a 2-part lesson since it's so late. Deuteronomy 16 and 21. Deuteronomy 16 and 21. Let me get there. I was in the wrong book. 16 and 21. Thou shalt not plant thee an grove of any tree near unto the altar of Yah thy Abba, which thou shalt make thee. Neither shalt thou set thee up any image which Yah thy Abba hated. And a lot of people would read that and be like, man, what they got to do with Mother Goddess worship? If you do your research, the grove that they spoke of was the grove of Ishtar, when you do your research on that. So Yah wasn't just talking about just don't plant some grove, whatever. He was referring to the grove of Ishtar because they was worshiping Ishtar too in that time. So just pointing this out. And now go to Deuteronomy 23 and 1. So the groves, when you read about groves in the Bible, it's just not talking about something, this random stuff. It's talking about the mother goddess, Ishtar. Deuteronomy 23:1. He that is wounded in the stone, or hath his privy member cut off, shall not enter into the congregation of Yah. And one should be like, man, why is this in the Bible? Because the Bible is not going into details about this. You gotta go do your research and study, show yourself approved. But we're seeing that the mother goddess worship in the temples, it was a big problem. Because how many people were doing this where Yah had to put it in the Bible? Anytime Yah puts something in the Bible that's telling you not to do it and emphasizing on something, a lot of people was doing it. And this priest, this worshiping of the mother goddess with the gilly priest and whatnot, it made such an imprint on the Most High that he put it in the Bible in Deuteronomy 23 and 1 and told them and made it clear, anybody who do this, you will not enter into my kingdom. You're done. You're done. Bruce Jenner and all these people, and there's a big movement of the society in mutilating males and having them cut off their privy member to turn into women. These are people that's not getting into the kingdom.
Oh. What about the eunuch that got baptized?
Well, a eunuch. I don't know if it's a eunuch of abstinence or if a eunuch of like they cut off their privy member.
They cut off his they cut off his drive member.
Oh.
He probably still had his
testicles.
They cut off his testicles.
He probably still had his
rod. His rod, but
yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I think it's more so, you know, eunuchs of, you know, they just gave a, you know, they didn't have sex or something like that.
But Yahushua talk about for the eunuchs, they made themselves eunuchs for the service.
That's what I'm talking about. Like, I don't know if that's a eunuch. I don't know if that's a eunuch of abstinence or it's a eunuch that they cut their rods off, cause.
Right. I think it's like probably eunuch for service. Some made themselves eunuchs for service.
Yeah, not literally cutting off the.
Right. But the eunuch like it's cut castration for the testicles.
Yeah. But that's why I was trying to figure out was not anything that boy name.
Addis.
Who?
Addis.
No. He's the one that got baptized in Jesus' name, Acts 17.
Yeah, the eunuch of old girl in Egypt. Yeah, but I don't know if that, you know, again, y'all have to do some more research on that because I think it's more symbolic eunuch, not necessarily they cut off they, you know.
Yeah, but it ain't saying, it's saying he that is wounded in the stones.
He that is wounded in the stones or hath his privy member cut off. So, and if you're rooted in the stones, that means, you know, something's wrong with your testicles. And then if you cut your privy member off, that means you cut your rod off. So, you know, it's talking about the testicles and the shaft. So, but yeah, I'm just pointing this out that this is industry.
I was thinking this procedure that they doing now, cutting off a man's bride and then making him a woman. This been going on hundreds of years.
Thousands of years. Let's go back to Babylon. All this stuff we're reading.
This ain't nothing new.
It's all about the mother goddess worship, turning the male into the female. You know, that's what it's all about. And the Most High, you know, does not like this whatsoever. Now we're gonna go to Exodus 34 and 13. Exodus chapter 34, 13. So I'm just reinforcing that, hey, you know, the mother goddess is deeply in the Bible, and you just gotta figure it out to find it, and then once you figure it out, it's in the Bible, it's everywhere, all the way from the Old Testament all the way into the New Testament. 34 and 13. But ye shall destroy their altars, break their images, and cut down their groves. And the groves again is talking about Ishtar, the female goddess who's being worshipped in these groves. And Zion had this very bad about worshiping the Queen of Heaven. This being goes by many names: the Queen of Heaven, Ishtar, Diana, Sebel, all these names. Right? It's talking about the same being. And the groves that they were making was to the mother god, the Queen of Heaven, the mother goddess. You know, all they're one and the same. Now we're gonna go to Jeremiah. Go to 2 Kings 17, 5 to 19. 2 Kings 17, 5 to 19. 2 Kings 17, 5 to 19. Then the king of Assyria came up throughout all the land and went up to Samaria and besieged it 3 years. In the 9th year of Hosea, the king of Assyria took Samaria and carried Israel away into Assyria and placed them in Helah and in Hebron by the river of Gozan and in the city of Medes. For so it was that the children of Israel had sinned again against Yah, their Abba, which had brought them up out of the land of Egypt, from under the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and had feared other gods, and walked in the statute of the heathen, whom Yah cast out from before the children of Israel, and of the kings of Israel, which they had made. And the children of Israel did secretly those things that were not right against Yah, their Abba, and they built them high palaces in all their cities, from the tower of the watchman to the fenced city. And they set them up images, and there it go again, groves, 10:2, in every hill, high hill, and under every green tree. Israel got it bad about worshiping his mother goddess. And again, if you do your research about the groves, it's the goddess Ishtar, Iodice, the same, different names, same being. And they burnt incense in all the high places, as did the heathen whom Yah carried away before them, and wrought wicked things to provoke Yah. So Yah put all these wicked groups of people away from them, and a year later it was like, hey, how y'all doing? We good? We peace? We peace? Let's go worship in the grove. Y'all like, I just separated you from these people. Y'all back together? For they served idols, whereof Yah had said unto them, Ye shall not do this thing. Yet Yah testified against Israel and against Judah by all the prophets and by all the seers, saying, Turn ye from your evil ways, and keep my commandments and my statutes, according to all the law which I commanded your fathers, and which I sent to you by my servants the prophets. Notwithstanding, and this is going to be until 19, notwithstanding, they would not hear, but harden their necks. And I always thought that's funny, what I'm saying, because in tribulation, you got to get your neck cut off. Y'all got a sense of humor too. Since you got a stiff neck, cut it off. Let's get rid of that stiff neck. Like,
you're going to be running around headless.
Yeah, get it ready, because you don't need that stick neck. They hardened their neck, like to the neck of their fathers, that did not believe in Yah, their Abba, and they rejected his statutes. And they bold by doing this. This is up and personal that they're doing this with Yah. And his covenant that he made with their fathers, and his testimonies, which he testified against them. And they followed vanity, and became vain, and went after the heathen that were round about them, concerning whom Yah had charged them, that they should not do like them. And they left all the commandments of Yah, their Abba, and made them molten images, even 2 calves, and made a grove. There go with that grove again, that Ishtar. They love worshiping the Queen of Heaven, and worship all the hosts of heaven, and serve Baal. And they caused their sons and their daughters to pass through the fire, and use divinations and enchantments. We see how the mother goddess get down. Mother goddess will cut down your rod, split it, and now you're making your children interact with this devil. And sold themselves to do evil in the sight of Yah, to provoke him to anger. Therefore, Yah was very angry with Israel. And we see the backstory of why Yah was so angry, because what they was doing with the mother goddess. This woman is deaf. And removed them out of his sight. And we see why Yah is so angry. Man, I'm done with them. I'm done with them. There was none left but the tribe of Judah only, also. And I'm like, go Judah, man. Last one, we got it. But not yet. Keep reading on. And Judah kept not the commandments. So right there, yeah, we down for Yah. not for just a few moments. And also Judah kept not the commandments of Yah, their Abba, but walked in the statutes of Israel which they made. That's dirty, boy. At least, they start traditions of man, they started doing, but the northern tribe, they really started to just worship the devil and make these groves. Now we're going to go to 2 Kings 21, 1 to 11.
But them people, they worship